Dying Light 2 está chegando e assim como fez a CD Projekt com Cyberpunk, a Techland está lançando seus episódios de desenvolvimento. Sejam bem-vindos a mais um vídeo do Combo Infinito, eu sou Ariel, vamos lá, alepitecus, o episódio 2 está disponível, hein?
Exatamente, Dying to Know episódio 2 vai trazer mais novidades de Dying Light 2, então vamos lá assistir
aqui,
esse
vou colocar na tela pra galera aqui também.
Tá em português, então a gente vai fazendo comentários, prestem atenção nos dois.
Exato, manda bala.
3, 2, 1, combo.
Lembrando que este vídeo está em 4K pra vocês, a gente tá acompanhando depois que a live deles começou, tá?
Ué, não tá aparecendo a legenda aqui pra mim não.
Não, também, mas acho que vai começar depois. Já começa com gameplay, cara. Lembrando que eles fizeram essa apresentação na Twitch da Techland. Ixi, vai dar muito ruim.
Sempre que alguém fala que tá tudo bem, é lógico. Nossa. Sempre que alguém fala assim, oh, tá tudo tranquilo, essa pessoa morre. Sempre. Então, pelo jeito, você estava lá e você caiu no poço.
To the second episode of Dying to
Lia
Know.
Alexandra.
If you missed the first episode, you can still catch it on YouTube, where you'll learn more about the game, about the release date, and catch the latest gameplay
Galera,
trailer.
a gente vem gravando os nossos reacts do mais um PC diferente, provisoriamente. Eu tô um pouco perdido com o áudio, tô mexendo toda hora, mas ficou bom, vamos lá.
But right now, I'm sure you're wondering, where is Jonah? Well, Jonah is hard at work right now in LA, recording
Jonah que é a voz do Aiden.
Dying Light 2, so we'll forgive him for his absence. But he has left a message for you.
Hey guys. Good news. I'm in LA and we're finishing up voice recordings for Aiden in Dying Light 2.
Tem a voz de voice actor
mesmo. A lot of the disgusting, horrific freaks of nature that you're going to fight in the game itself. The better news is that the episode today of Dying to Know focuses almost entirely on those monsters, and Leia is going to tell you all about them, and it's going to be fantastic. The bad news is I'm not going to be there in the studio, at least this time. I'm going to be in this studio recording lines for a while. But Leia's going to take good care of you. We're going to make sure that you get everything you need to know, and I think I got to go back to work. Leia, the stage is yours. Good night, good luck, and remember to stay human.
Vejo um negócio desse, mas tem ideias aqui para poder fazer o nosso
right now, but we do have something just as exciting to talk about. The monsters. We're going to be looking at how they're created. We're going to be venturing into the night in a new gameplay trailer. We're going to be seeing what's new on Techland GG and more.
Eita, sotaque maravilhoso.
But first, let's take a moment to thank our amazing community. You. We love seeing you react to our content, and your comments help motivate the entire team. So, thank you. Over 750,000 of you tuned into the first Dying to Know live stream. Over 10 million of you have watched the first gameplay reveal trailer. And over 17 million comments have been left across our social media channels.
Olha, mano, tá estourando o Dying Light 2, que bom.
Amazing. Thank you. There is literally nobody who would rather explore the darkness alongside than you.
Ficou tanto tempo no limbo, né, que às vezes pode até causar uma perda de interesse.
Mas tem tudo a ver com a galera curte, né, mano? É muito
não, claro. Timon Smectala.
Hello, Timon.
Hi, hello.
Hello, welcome to the show. So we're talking about monsters today, and where do monsters start? They start in the imagination of the game designers like yourself and the others. So what can you tell us about them?
So first of all, I think it's important to say that our monsters used to be sick and suffering people who just didn't manage to find UV light or any other cure in time. The virus causes them a lot of pain and it makes them suffer. And they are not driven by hatred, but by instinct, their new nature.
Right, okay, so what does that process look like for turning from a human to a monster?
Meio o conceito de um zumbi normal, né? Até o presente momento. Tirando características de UV, essas coisas.
But if you spend too much time in darkness, the sickness progresses.
Isso que é bem louco,
and your symptoms become more severe.
Como você vai controlar isso,
you will turn into a volatile, a quick, agile, aggressive, bloodthirsty monster.
Right.
Será que você vai poder...
if it gets to that point, is there anything you can do? Is it reversible?
Well, unfortunately, once you have turned, there's no way to revert it. And now the UV light becomes your enemy, so if you spend too much time in the sun...
Não, é isso. Os zumbis de dia ficam todo lascados.
So, with that sun sensitivity
então,
then,
ele tá falando você, não é o jogador. Tinha que o jogador
o zumbi.
chegar nesse nível.
Apart from the biters?
Well, yes and no.
Que eles estão falando, esse episódio ele é bastante dedicado aos monstros mesmo, né?
Sim.
But you will still encounter some. As the sun weakens them, they try to find a place to hide, usually inside buildings. But don't go into those nests at day as they are swarming with the infected.
Isso é uma característica que também já tinha no primeiro, né? Quando você tá de dia, os humanos são mais perigosos. Então, quando você entra num prédio fechado, você tá lascado.
But you can explore those places at night.
Aí à noite eles saem dos prédios pra, enfim, fazer as coisas que eles têm que fazer. Aí dá pra gente entrar, né?
Eu não acho a parte gráfica do jogo excepcional.
Mas não é mesmo.
Mundo aberto.
Never do that. Never kick the bucket. No.
Até acho que parece muito com o primeiro, ou minha memória está me traindo.
Não, tá bem melhor, tá bem melhor. É, mas ainda assim, tipo, pensando pros dias de hoje... Se bem que o Dying Light 2 já tá sendo desenvolvido há muito tempo, né? Mas pros dias de hoje, não é o máximo que eles poderiam alcançar. Mas ainda assim tá bom.
Não fala que tá ruim também não.
Well, yes, everyone is unique, and for example, the Revenant, who's my personal favorite, he has those things coming from his back, almost like wings. He's very scary, very dangerous, but also smart and intelligent. And to capture this part of his nature, we have kept his appearance more human.
I think smart and intelligent are two of my least favorite things when encountering an enemy that sounds that scary. Wow. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Timon.
Thank you for having me.
Eu gosto muito do formato que eles estão fazendo esses episódios.
And now, why don't we take a sneak peek at some of those monsters in action in this brand
E é
new
isso, não
gameplay
demora
video.
muito pra já mostrar um gameplay, né?
É.
You have an army here?
The peacekeepers. Seriously riling up the bazaar folks.
I'll proceed with caution. Are we going? You wanted to show me something?
Sure. Follow me.
You won't get far without the biomarker. Without it, you don't know when you turn.
Parte do parkour.
É o grande tchan do jogo.
Sim.
Mas só no videogame mesmo, não vai fazer isso na vida real pra você.
Olha, eu achava que o parkour do jeito do videogame era só no videogame mesmo, até eu assistir os vídeos do Danilo e do PK. Mano, algumas coisas é possível serem feitas incrivelmente por uns caras extremamente profissionais e muito bons naquilo, mas é possível.
Rapaz, mano, olha como os inimigos ficam, cara. Ó, essa parte o visual tá bem louco. Caramba, que tenso, velho.
Ah, mano.
Muito louco. Os caras dormem se mexendo.
Eu também.
Eu não sei, porque eu nunca me vi dormindo.
Eu já dei várias bicas na minha noiva.
Olha os raios de traço ali, ó. Pra perceber. Os caras sabem que eu sou tarado por Ray Tracing.
Nasty shit. Giori doused the whole hospital with it. Along with the patient and staff.
Vai acontecer algumas...
Mas é claro que vai. Parece muito com a maneira com que os personagens do Days Gone se movem ali. Meu Deus!
Esse aí é bombadão, hein?
É igual os caras do Ratchet Clank lá, o Saradão, Avaldão, não lembro?
É.
Os caras estão vomitando pelos ombros, mano. Isso aí é passado, hein? Nossa, que olhada!
We got company here.
Caramba, mano. Nossa, esse som, cara, deve ser irado no jogo.
Acordou um, já era, mano. Já era. E fica só um feixezinho de luz, cara.
Yeah, that's great. Sorry about this.
What? Sorry about what?
About that. On behalf of all its whores, bandits, and idiots, I christen you a citizen of Villador.
Defectado.
You're about to turn.
Ele tá muito tempo no escuro.
É.
Então ele tem que ir pra luz pra evitar se transformar num bichão loucão.
Nossa, é muito inimigo, cara.
Da hora, essas fugas da hora, mano.
Movimentação irada, um negócio frenético, cara. Hype, hein? Nossa.
Hello, welcome to the show.
Hi, hello.
Hello. So my first question for you today is, how did you come up with all of the forms and shapes for the monsters in the game?
So first we had to create a general idea of how virus could evolve visually.
Okay.
We used elements from various skin diseases, like hardened tissue working as organic armor, blisters filled with yellow pus as weak points, and some burned skin scars to create interesting texture on the skin.
Eles falam tão
For
naturalmente de
example,
coisas
we
tão
have
bizarras.
Demolisher and his blisters. They shine at night. And that's because we wanted our monsters to be really visible and recognizable in the darkness.
Yeah, for sure. And you kind of must have had this idea from the start then that you wanted the Demolisher to be the bigger and tougher of the monsters, right?
Yeah, we knew that he would throw heavy objects or charge, and our goal was to make his silhouette really monumental and aggressive, just to show that strength.
Okay, so the Demolisher is probably one of the bigger monsters in the game. Have you got an example of the smaller monsters, maybe?
Yes, of course. For example, we have Banshee. She's insanely fast and agile. Because of that, she needs to be, of course, smaller than the Demolisher, and she doesn't have the hardened tissue that we saw.
Sempre tem essas escandalosas.
Yeah, we really wanted her femininity to show. So she's wearing a dress, though it's pretty ragged now, and also she's wearing jewelry that's fused into her body while she was turning, and her hands grow larger than the rest of her body. Almost same like in the Demolishers, but here the disproportion is much bigger.
Wow, yeah, and I feel like there's a story behind that with the jewelry fusing to the body. That's so intense. But why are her hands so big?
Basically, they are her weapons. So, yeah, because she strikes from above, her fingers grow longer and also sharper to cut, not to hit, because due to her lower strength.
Aqui é fatiar. Olha lá o cenário com luz UV. Pra garantir que ninguém, que o pessoal continue humano aí.
Pra que não quebre a quarta parede.
She's so fast and agile that she might surprise the player by striking them midair.
Wow.
So, yeah, something that no other monster can do.
No, okay, yeah, can't see the Demolisher doing that.
A variedade de inimigos também parece estar muito boa, isso é muito importante.
Thank you so much for joining us today and sharing more about the process of design. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
É verdadeiro sandbox de zumbis.
If you like stories, we've got a bit of a treat for you. When it gets dark at night and the monsters leave their lairs and roam the city streets, the residents of the city like to gather in their safe spots under the UV lamps for protection and wait out until the dawn. And when they're doing that, they like to kill time by telling stories themselves about Banshee, for example. Are you wondering why she's wearing that beautiful necklace and ball gown? Well, now you can find out.
Olha. Ó, ela gritando. Hã?
Animação ou quadrinho?
História da Banshee.
Quadrinho?
Techland have partnered with Dynamite to create a comic series, and this is just a teaser of what to
Caramba, vai ser a história da
expect.
Banshee?
You can get a physical copy yourself in stores soon, but if you head to techlandgg.com,
Caramba, mano, a
you can also
Techland
get
tá
a digital
evoluindo
version
demais. Tô
for
achando que a
free.
Techland vai se
And
tornar
also
uma nova
on
CD Projekt, hein,
techlandgg,
meu?
there is plenty more content. You can find a
É
brand
uma
new
empresa
Starter
que tem um
Pack,
potencial
more information
gigante,
about
ambas
monsters.
polonesas. É
You can
que a
get
CD
6
Projekt
piece
tem uma
outfit
loja,
coming
né?
very,
Com
very
isso
soon.
é
More
difícil
information about the
competir.
game entirely,
Mas,
but Dying to Know shows
cara,
basically everything.
a
So why don't you
Techland
check it out
é um
yourself
caminho
at
muito bom, né? Tem muitas empresas que fazem isso, que lançam quadrinhos, lançam artigos adicionais para complementar a experiência do jogo. Eu acho isso muito válido.
How do you make something so inhuman and terrifying come to life in game? Luckily, we have the one person who can answer that question here with us today. It's Dying Light 2's animation director, David Lubrica, and he's here to tell us more. Welcome, David.
Hello, welcome.
Hello. So you work with the animation team in taking all that concept art and bringing it to life and having like an actual living, breathing monster in the game. So where do you even start with that?
So the process starts with creating a prototype and then designing choreography based on this. Then we take it to the mock-up shoot, and that's where we have our actors interpret the movements, and we actually learn from them also. That gives us some extra ideas. But the real magic happens when we take all the things we captured and start putting into the engine and into the game's language.
Okay, can you give us an example of that in game?
Sure, like Volatile, for example. So
Volatile.
he sniffs around, he searches for his prey, he has those cat-like jumps. But many of those movements are actually characteristics of the creatures we know from animal documentaries. And he combines them with some new ones and unique ones, and that's what makes him who he actually is.
Oh, okay. So I'm going to be like in game, I'm going to be searching him out and trying to see all the little details you've made, which is probably not the best idea because I think that will get me killed.
Right. Yeah, with him it's not the best idea. But we have other infected, and all of them actually have very, very distinctive and interesting behaviors.
Okay, so you're giving them all like unique personalities in game.
Sure. So let's take a look at Howler, for example. He doesn't fight. He's more of an alarm, like this light tower, searching for prey. He screams to call other infected when he spots human, but also he sometimes rises on his tiptoes to see better, to see his surroundings.
Ela é aquela das mãos parecida com a mina lá.
This very scared,
Mas o nome dela é que traz a parada do grito,
Well, it's because there are some traces of his humanity in him. He really wants to scream, but the virus has attacked his lungs and vocal cords, and that would just hurt him too much. He's helpless.
But they all just lose this fight with their instincts then at some point.
Totally. Actually, they rather evoke pity. You can see that they can notice the deformations the virus has done to their bodies. They can touch them. They can experience something like seizures. And you can see that all this aggression, all this rage is repressed in them. Something might trigger it, and that's usually an opponent. And you can see that all this energy is released and transferred on the opponent, on the player, for example, us.
I can't wait to see that in game. But I want to talk about Banshee because we mentioned her earlier. We've seen how she looks, but how is she animated?
She's a curious one. She has those really long deformed fingers, and she
Olha que legal, cara. Eu acho isso animal.
And we had to imagine how she would feel about them. And we thought they must really bother her, right?
E tem uma galera na indústria que, tipo, óbvio que por Walking Dead, por vários outros elementos zumbis que já tenham feito, eles têm uma especialidade, os caras se movem como zumbis mesmo. Eles criaram movimentos de zumbis e hoje em dia é referência.
Just suddenly jump back and cower, as if she was trying to resist the virus, but ultimately
antigamente você tinha muito mais essa parada de se movimentar, e agora tem todo o efeito que o vírus traz, né? Que você vê o cara parado se movimentando esquisitamente.
Mas se você for...
fica melhor
mas se você pega a evolução do zumbi desde o George Romero até, tipo, aí passa por, enfim, inúmeros outros Zack Snyder, até mesmo o The Walking Dead e jogos. E, cara, é muito louca ver a evolução. O zumbi hoje é um dos melhores vilões de qualquer entretenimento. E antes era só um morto-vivo que comia cérebro, mas andava muito devagar. Tipo, deixava os pedaços pelo caminho.
Gosto muito dos do Days Gone. Olha lá, vamos falar agora da versão Platino. Nós recebemos essa versão Platino aí da Techland que a gente vai levar para as lives.
You are amazing. Thank you so much for your support and your interest in the world of Dying Light. More and more fun content is on the way to Dying Light 1 also, like the Savvy Gamer DLC or the 4th of July event. And if you head to Techland GG, you could get your hands on this in-game weapon, the Wasp. So, you know, why not check out Techland GG? As if you needed more reason to. More and more fun content is added to the game regularly, so keep checking it out with more coming soon.
Caramba, é um jogo eterno.
Alright, well, since Dying to Know is about the world of Dying Light 2, there's still something else we need to hear about. If you pardon the pun, because we're going to be talking about the sound design of Dying Light 2. If you've ever wondered about where the roaring, the growling, the screaming that covers the streets of the city at night comes from, then you're in the right place, because we're going to be talking to one of the lead sound designers to tell you more.
Vou aumentar pouquinho mais o som para vocês também curtirem legal.
Senior sound designer Tomek Shedak is here with us today. Hello.
Hey, nice to meet you.
You too, hello. So, first question. Do the monsters have their own language?
They technically are not herd creatures, so they didn't develop sounds to communicate with each other, although there are some exceptions. For example, Howler, when attacked, he would scream to alert other infected, and then you can get yourself into really big troubles very soon.
Let's talk about the process of actually creating those sounds, though. So you have to imagine what a volatile might sound like from scratch, and where do you even start with that?
Well, you know, the virus deformed the infected in very different ways, and you have to reflect it in their voices. So, for example, the acid-spitting monster, you know, has to have sound with some kind of acidic characteristics, some watery, hissing stuff in it. And there is the Banshee, a woman monster, and her voice is high-pitched and vibrating and really scary.
So you work alongside your twin brother Wojtek, and he also records a lot of the sounds that you use to create these monsters, and we actually have a video of that process, so we can have a closer look at what that entails.
Nossa, que da hora.
Eu acho isso animal, cara, porque às vezes uns bagulho, você fala, mano, o que isso vai virar? É um som...
É isso que eu ia falar. Pimentão, mano. Pimentão dá vários sons da hora. O cara é especialista em fazer sons de zumbis, velho.
Pois é.
Yeah, so now you can see how it works. We always start with the human throat because all of the infected were humans once.
Yeah.
And then the creative part is coming and a lot of sound design magic is happening. Also, we have to cover a lot of emotions in the infected voices.
Yeah.
Because you have to know, I mean, the player has to know if the infected is in pain or is super aggressive or is maybe dying. you have to pass this message through the voice, and the message has to be very, very, very clear. So basic monster like a biter has 700 voice assets, so the scale is it's enormous.
Yeah, that's a lot to try and communicate in just sounds. So that's the monsters, but what about the entire city?
Our city is dying, so we had to find these abandoned places where there is no sound of the civilization. We visited abandoned factories, we visited post-military bunkers. We went to the forest at minus 15 degrees because it sounds completely different than in the summer, and we climbed up the mountains. It was a lot of interesting places we wouldn't visit without Dying Light 2. And you know, at night with the good headphones, you can definitely enjoy it.
I cannot wait to hear it. It sounds like you've got a fascinating job.
I agree.
Thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you for having me.
And you can check out the hard work of the Shidag brothers and their teams when Dying Light 2 releases.
Eu acho animal essas criações de... A criação no geral, né? De todo o processo criativo
You can become a part of that amazing universe. Remember the UGC contest? It's already started, so just show us your art to be in with a chance of winning a copy of the already sold out collector's edition and join the world of Dying Light 2. Just look at all the amazing things people have already created. A galera foi
lançando aí algumas artes, né, para eles poderem... Apesar que fizeram também outras coisas,
Dying Light 2 releases later this year on December the 7th, and you can pre-order it right now. But if you want to dive into the universe immediately, then why don't you check out Techland GG for more news, updates, and to grab your free copy of the Banshee comic.
Foi gratuita? Nem tinha percebido que ela falou que era gratuita.
Techland GG.
Alright, I think we know everything about monsters now, except for one thing. How to defeat them. So stay tuned for the next episode. We'll be looking at different combat styles, weapon crafting, and the iconic Dying Light 2 parkour, which was designed in cooperation with this man.
Aquele maluco francês lá, né? Não. Caramba. Tá muito bem feito esses movimentos, mano. Olha isso. No primeiro já era bem feito, mas eu acho que tá... melhor ainda.
A captura de movimentos evoluiu muito, né? E o Dying Light, ele é já antiguinho. Se for comparar, né, com outros jogos mais recentes aí de parkour, como Assassin's Creed e tudo. Muito boa.
É o francês mesmo, cara. Esse cara, eu acho que, se eu não me engano, ele foi um dos inventores, se não for o inventor do Le Parkour.
Caramba.
Esse cara aí, esse cara é animal, velho. É ele mesmo.
Ele tá no jogo, cara. Nossa, velho.
Eu tinha visto essa cara em algum lugar.
Que irado, mano. Merecido demais.
Thanks for watching episode 2 of Dying to Know. And remember, the virus isn't the only thing that makes a monster. So stay human.
Isso aí, então, mais um episódio bem legal aí do Dying Light. A gente tem essa parte do gameplay que foi um grande destaque aqui. Vamos deixar aqui enquanto a gente comenta, mas a gente também não vai demorar muito, porque isso já ficou enorme, né, cara? Mas ficou, olha, o melhor episódio dos dois, pra mim. E com certeza aumentou o hype pro jogo, cara.
Sim, cara, eu também. A gente sabe que o gráfico, como a gente comentou, não é o que vai levar o jogo pra frente, mas todo o resto parece muito bem organizado, né? A gente sabe também que o jogo passou por problemas, teve adiamentos e tal, mas ele tá muito, parece tá nos trilhos, assim, parece que nunca teve nada, assim, tá normalzão, tá ligado? Ele tá com uma história que parece interessante, tá com um background que parece legal, e tudo que envolve o gameplay do jogo também parece muito massa, cara.
Comentem aí o que vocês têm a dizer, então, sobre esse episódio do Dying Light 2, lembrando que em breve nós vamos repassar o primeiro em live também, na versão Platino, pra poder pegar todo o conteúdo aí que o jogo já teve. E, cara, eu não vejo a hora. Vai ser um dos grandes jogos do ano aí.
Com certeza. Então já aproveita e deixa o like, compartilha esse vídeo. Até a próxima. Valeu.
Valeu.